Good evening. Welcome to Truth Seekers. Let that rest of that music kind of fade out there. We're live tonight in Portland, Oregon. It's 10 days before Christmas, 2007, December 15th. And so you folks, you can see those phone numbers up there. You can call us if you'd like with any points of view or questions or anything you'd like to share relating to spiritual, philosophical truth searching. Last week we had film clips with David Berlinski, as you guys remember, one of our favorite intellectuals who worked with a Nobel Prize winner mathematician, and he's taught in many universities around the globe. He's published some books in mathematics. We're not going to show any more film of him tonight. We showed some film for about 3 weeks of him, but he's really fun to listen to. He's not religious. He's just a scientist who thinks that evolutionary theory really isn't a decent scientific theory at all. He says he knows many mathematicians, physicists that kind of laugh at the notion because when you compare it to other aspects of science, you know, regular biology and physics and chemistry, you can't quantify anything. There's nothing really there to hang your hat on. The mutations don't work. There's very little evidence at all for evolutionary theory, but people want to push that theory. There are certain groups, the humanists being number one, Humanist Manifesto, and then there's others relating to the New Age that like this whole evolutionary theory. And we're going to get into some reasons why that is, and why Adolf Hitler got into that as well, and how it's still going on but shifting slightly maybe. So we'll talk about that or anything else relating to spiritual truth-seeking. I don't know if you guys happened to notice this week, 2 days ago in the Oregonian. Do you see this?
No, but would you like to introduce our special guest tonight, Mike?
Sorry, folks. This is our good friend Sean Lavelle, and he's usually here, but he's usually on the other side of that glass window.
Yeah, he's our sound man and quite an expert on refuting evolution and all the evidence out there dealing with the scientific evidence that we have. So we welcome you tonight, Sean. And any of you that have any questions about what we're going to discuss tonight and see dealing with the lies in the school textbooks, this is the man to speak to because he's quite knowledgeable. He's been studying this stuff for years, and he blows me out of the water. Of course, that ain't saying much because pretty much anybody blows me out of the water. So, but it's good to have you, Sean.
Oh, thank you much, Jay.
Well, I was starting to ask if either of you saw this article. It was 2 days ago, Thursday, December 13th, the Oregonian. Nature's design aids pregnant women's balancing act. That, you know, listen to this first paragraph. Scientists think they figured out why pregnant women don't lose their balance and topple over despite ever-growing weight up front. Now, that's really ingenious. They finally figured out why pregnant women don't just topple over. It seemed to be an evolutionary thing that happened somewhere along the line. Evolution, it says here, provided them. I mean, it gets more. The evolutionary stuff gets more and more ridiculous. Provided them with slight differences from men in their lower backs and hip joints, allowing them to adjust their center of gravity. New research shows. This elegant engineering. Now, so notice how they use the word engineering.
Can I interject one point there?
You sure can.
So they're suggesting that pregnant women don't fall over, but men who do not have this adaptation, when they get a pot belly, after a while they all just fall over and they can't walk anymore.
They say they say at the last paragraph that for men their back muscles are used to compensate, but that probably means more back pain. But you know, they go on with this article. It's really crazy.
Well,
but
I seem to remember my wife having back pain when she was pregnant from. So.
Yeah, a lot of women have back pain when they're pregnant, but so.
Doesn't give the dollar amount they spent on that study, does it, Mike?
Man, no, but it's probably a lot. Let's see. They talk about design differences. Of course, evolutionary designs things, but you can't have intelligent design. You got to have unintelligent design, where
the god of evolution designs. It's almost like it's a religion in itself.
And then towards the end here, they mentioned that Australopithecus, our predecessor, which lived 2 million years ago, that they found that in a female but not a male. They neglect to point out that we can quote here a scientist and evolutionist who says that Australopithecus lived concurrently with humans. And so that messes them all up if you study that. There's a great book on that. In fact, I brought it here with me. It's
Bones of Contention.
Bones of Contention by Martin Lubenow. And so this is a fantastic book that refutes a lot of that. He's researched this. He was a dentist, and he researched this for 25 years, and he's debated different experts in bones and Australopithecus and Cro-Magnon man and radiometric dating and stuff like that. So, but, you know, the emperor wears no clothes fiasco continues on evolutionary theory. I think we're getting a phone call, folks. So before we jump into film with Kent Hovind tonight, we love to listen to Kent Hovind because he's not only full of facts, but he's amusing as well. We get a big kick out of Kent Hovind, don't we?
Oh yeah, I think Kent Hovind would get a big kick out of that newspaper article too.
Yeah, he would. He would. Do we have a phone call coming in? Nod your head. We do. Good. All right.
We might have some technical difficulties going on, and we don't usually find out about them until they're going on. So,
by the way, we didn't show the section last week with David Berlinski. We ended up with him talking about we lost the phone call, about Don Quixote. He said he started this, you know, kind of in fun, saying that if you started with one novel like Don Quixote and you put a bunch of monks up in some monastery somewhere and you let them, you know, make random changes in the text of Don Quixote, over millions of years you'd eventually end up with the novel War and Peace, and all novels could stem just by random changes of letters in the book of in the novel of Don Quixote into other novels. He said that's basically the same thing as evolutionary thinking through mutational changes slightly. Of course, we've never seen added new information come from.
Yeah.
It falls apart everywhere.
His point also was that there is no way that you'd ever end up with War and Peace, no matter how many people just made random changes to Don Quixote, that was an impossibility and it was ridiculous. And
sure.
then went on to show basically that this is what evolution is claiming happens.
Yeah.
So
and then you have to have different languages. You know, you got the letters making the French words or the English words or the German words or the Spanish words. So you got to get the right language together too. It does get kind of silly. Well, hopefully that person will call us back, or maybe not. So gentlemen, why don't we gear up this first section of film. It's 4.5 minutes long, and it's got Kent Hovind discussing Ernst Haeckel and his nonsensical stuff that are still in textbooks. Another lie, as Kent Hovind calls it, lies in the school textbooks. Still in textbooks, even though his own university found him to be a liar and fraudulent with his pictures 130-something years ago, still in textbooks. Guys, why don't we run that 4.5 minute or so film, and we'll see you guys back in about 4 3/4 minutes.